The dust tastes like copper and salt. 33 degrees Celsius at Marathon, August 490 BC. The Athenian hoplites stand in bronze. Their cuirasses trap heat against the chest. Helmets seal the skull. Shields weigh 7 kilograms each. The Persians are dying before a single arrow flies. Here's the detail most versions skip. Two civilizations looked at the same problem. Extreme heat, endurance battle, the collapse of the human body under bronze and sun. One adjusted tactics. One adjusted the man. One crumbled. One stood for hours and then ran a kilometer in full armor and won. You already know which one you'd bet on, but you don't know why yet. The Persian army carried water skins. They wore light linen tunics. They marched in sandals. By every modern logic, they should have outlasted the Greeks. Lighter clothing, better hydration, less metal. Yet at Marathon, the Persians broke rank and fled before the hoplites even reached spear range. Here's what never appears in the popular version. The heat wasn't the problem for the Persians. The collapse was. And collapse isn't physical, it's structural. Herodotus records that Xerxes' invasion force lost roughly 15% of its men to illness before Thermopylae. Not enemy action. Heat, dust, dehydration. The Persian system was built for mobility, for rapid conquest, for overwhelming numbers. It was not built for standing still in bronze under a July sun. Now, consider the Spartan, the same bronze that cooked the Persian, the same shield weight, the same helmet sealing the skull, the same sun. And yet, at Thermopylae, they rotated positions to rest, drank water in measured sips, and fought through the entire day. Not because they were immune to heat, because their system had engineered the response long before the battle began. Two things. One, a Persian soldier at Thermopylae carried his own water, fought in his own rotation, and followed his commander's individual orders. The system was flexible but fragile. Each man was a node that could fail independently. Two, a Spartan hoplite was part of a phalanx. The phalanx wasn't a formation. It was a single organism. If one man collapsed from heat, the entire unit suffered a gap, and the phalanx was trained for gaps. Every Spartan knew, you don't break, you rotate, you hand your shield to the man behind you, you drink when the file leader says drink, you stand when the sun says stand. Now here's what almost never appears in the military history textbooks. The bronze itself was engineered differently. Spartan bronze was thicker at the shoulders and thinner at the ribs. Heat dispersed through the metal. The cuirass was lined with wool, not the linen. Wool wicks moisture. It traps air. It slows heat transfer into the skin. The Persians wore metal too, but their armor was designed for display, not endurance. Spartan armor was designed for 12-hour days in the Peloponnesian sun. Consider this. The Agoge, from age 7 to 20, included daily endurance marches under full kit in the hottest part of the day. Not morning, not evening. Noon. The instructors would send boys into the hills with minimal water and tell them to reach the summit by sundown. Those who collapsed were left. Those who made it learned something the Persians never had. Heat tolerance isn't biological, it's trained. You just saw how the Persians collapsed, not from the heat, but from a system that never prepared them for it. That's the kind of distinction this channel exists to uncover, the layer most documentaries skip. If you want to keep seeing these structural truths exposed, the kind that make you reevaluate everything you thought you knew about resilience, subscribe now. And in the comments, write engineered, because that's the word that separates a Spartan from a Persian. The engineering happened before the battle. Modern physiology confirms this. A 2020 study in military medicine tracked 124 active duty soldiers. After 2 hours of exposure to 35 degrees Celsius, working memory accuracy dropped by 15%. The soldiers made tactical errors. They slowed their reactions. They became less capable of coordinating. The Spartans trained to compensate for that cognitive decline. They drilled in the heat until the movements were reflexive. The phalanx didn't require conscious thought. Each man was a gear. When the brain slowed, the body kept moving. The system kept functioning. Now here's where it gets serious. The Persians never built that system. They conquered through speed, surprise, and overwhelming force. They didn't expect to stand still in the heat. They didn't prepare for endurance. And when the endurance phase came, at Marathon, at Thermopylae, at Plataea, they broke. Pausanias, the Spartan commander at Plataea, reported that 2,500 Persian soldiers died of heat exhaustion during the retreat alone. Not in battle, in flight. The body gave out before the enemy arrived. You felt this, not on a battlefield, in your own life. The moment when the heat isn't physical, it's financial, emotional, relational. The system you built for speed and comfort fails when you need to endure. You reach for the app, the pill, the distraction. You adjust the thermostat. You step away. The Spartan didn't have a thermostat. He had bronze, wool, a file leader, and a system that had trained him for the worst day of his life long before that day arrived. Now, here's what changes everything. The difference between Persian collapse and Spartan endurance wasn't courage. It wasn't genetics. It wasn't the quality of the bronze. It was the engineering of the man before the battle began. The Agoge was a factory. It took a 7-year-old boy and rebuilt him from the ground up. Heat exposure was a curriculum. Thirst was a lesson. Fatigue was a teacher by the time he stood on the battlefield. The heat wasn't a variable. It was a known constant. He had already faced it 1,000 times. You've never faced it, not meaningfully. Your body has never been pushed to the edge of collapse while wearing 20 kilograms of bronze. Your mind has never been required to function clearly while your core temperature climbed past 38 degrees. Your will has never been tested by a sun that won't stop and a system that won't let you quit. But here you are, watching this, feeling something stir. If you're still here after what we just covered, you're exactly the kind of viewer this channel was built for. Someone who wants the full architecture, not just the surface. Someone who senses that the cost of comfort is capacity. You've recognized that the difference between the Greek and the Persian was engineering, not genetics. That's not an easy admission. It means accepting that your own system might be the thing holding you back. Subscribe to walk through the rest of that architecture with us to see what the actual blueprint looks like. And drop the word Agoge in the comments, because that factory of men is what we're dismantling next, piece by piece. Write this in your mind. At what point did recognizing the trade-off start feeling personal? Because the heat isn't the enemy. The Persian wasn't beaten by the sun. He was beaten by a system that hadn't prepared him for the sun. And you, in your climate-controlled car, your temperature-regulated office, your endless supply of cold water and electrolyte drinks, you are the Persian, not the Spartan. The Spartan wore bronze and stood. You wear convenience and sit. The Spartan trained for the worst day. You optimize for the average day. And when the average day breaks, when the heat comes, when the pressure mounts, when the system fails, you will collapse. Not because you're weak, because you haven't built the system. This is what never appears in the documentaries. They show you the phalanx. They show you the bronze. They show you the battle. They never show you the agoj at noon. They never show you the boy staggering up a hill with sand in his mouth and fire in his lungs. They never show you the engineering. But you need to see it, because the system is replicable. The heat tolerance isn't genetic. The endurance isn't mystical. The phalanx is a metaphor, but the training is real. The Spartans built men the way you build muscle, through progressive overload, through systematic exposure, through a structure that eliminates the option of retreat. You can build that structure. Not the bronze, not the phalanx, but the discipline, the daily exposure to discomfort, the refusal to optimize for comfort, the acceptance that the worst day will come and you must be ready for it. This is just the surface. What comes next changes everything. In the next chapter, we go deeper into the agoj itself. The curriculum, the rituals, the moments most historians skip. The ones that made the difference between a citizen and a warrior. The men of Laconia had no pills, no apps, no furnace. They had their blood, their bone, and their oath. And they had a system that had been tested for centuries. You now know that the heat isn't the enemy. The absence of training is. And you've just seen the blueprint of a system that turned boys into bronze. If you want to keep walking through the curriculum they studied, the drills, the rituals, the moments the textbooks leave out, subscribe right now so you're here when we open that door. And in the comments, write, "I choose the stone," because the choice between Persian comfort and Spartan bronze is exactly what we're laying out in the next chapter. The heat is coming. You already know it. The only question is whether you'll be a Persian or a Spartan.